Hey everyone, Matt here from Docs Running, and today we're going to do a 100-mile review of the Puma ForeverRun Nitro 2. So this is Puma's guidance slash stability shoe, something that was really interesting in its first version, but it was clunky, it didn't fit well. They completely redid it. Everything has been much better. Fit is still a teeny bit off that we'll talk about, but it's been a shoe that I've liked enough to get up to 100 miles. I've really enjoyed it. They're doing a lot of things right. So I want to talk about what's going on with this shoe, how it's done over 100 miles, and who I still think it works best for. As always, we're going to start off with specs in my men's size 10. So my men's size 10 comes in at 10.9 ounces or 310 grams. So not the lightest shoe on the market, but definitely runs a lot lighter as the Nitro foam is really nice and bouncy underfoot. The stack height is 38 millimeters in the heel, 20 in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop, although it doesn't feel that quite high if you're a heel striker like me because the foam compresses so much. So let's get right into the foam. The Nitro foam has done amazing with its durability. It's really lasted very well, broken very quickly. It's provided a nice bounce. Without being a super shoe bounce, it's just got this really nice bounce that feels great for getting into a groove. It's been a shoe that I've loved grabbing for long runs, grabbing for some runs where I don't know what's going to happen. I've used this for a lot of informal fartleks. I've used it for a lot of uphill tempo runs because I live in an area where there's a lot of steep uphill that I love taking a shoe that is a little bit bouncy but not too light and grinding uphill, pushing a stroller. It's really, really a great way to build fitness. But while not the lightest shoe, it does fairly well at training paces and can handle a lot of miles. I will say probably one of the biggest questions people have is how's the durability? This is 100 miles on the sole. Outsole is still intact, just a teeny bit of wear, but for me, for those who know how quickly I destroy shoes, this is awesome. I'm expecting tons more miles out of this shoe. And like I said, the foam is held up really, really well. Does great at a variety of kind of more training-esque paces. Not so much for workouts. There's a lot better shoes for workouts and faster stuff, but if you need to go a teeny bit quicker, this can handle that, but maybe not the best option. Really nice, smoother transition in the rear foot. The previous version, I was a little annoyed that it was so clunky. Both the foam has broken in, and there's this nice bevel that is just a teeny bit posterior lateral. Not perfect, but the lateral aspect does break in really nicely and just bounces nicely and rolls you forward. The forefoot is also really, really nice. Midfoot's really good. As you can see, the sole is a little bit wider, so it feels very consistent throughout the length of the shoe and just transitions with just enough flexibility. It's not stiff, but the smoothness and the forefoot rocker work really well together. Just make this nice toe off that feels good over longer miles, and especially for taking a break from some of the plated options out there without feeling mushy. So it still has this nice little bounce off it without being too stiff. So really nice. If you have stiff toes, you need a more aggressive toe rocker. This is not going to be enough. If you want something balanced, it does really, really nice. In terms of the stability and guidance, this shoe does a lot of things really, really well, and the summation of it is great without being too overbearing. In the rear foot, you've got obviously sidewalls. You've got these external parts of the heel counter here that do a great job of securing the heel without, and I know we're not talking about the fit yet, but does a great job of locking in the heel without making it too stiff. And people that have Haglund deformities, this is done really good for me because nothing as much, not nothing, but teeny bit more flexible here, lots of padding, and locks more the lateral side and medial side. Sidewalls continue all the way through from the heel into the forefoot, so there are mild forefoot sidewalls, slightly more on the medial than the lateral side. So kind of like the last version had a slight elevation in the midsole on the medial side. This one just has a little bit more medial forefoot. So if you need a little bit of guidance there, it's going to work well. Also because you have a softer foam in the middle here, and kind of like the Tempest there's a slightly firmer external layer of foam throughout the length of the shoe. So very, very nice centered ride, little bit of stiffness here, and Puma does a great job with forefoot stability with different designs to kind of keep you a little bit more lateral on the forefoot. So that's something you need, like I need that. This shoe's going to work really well. But all these elements come together to create a really nice guided shoe that's definitely not mild stability, because when I put this on, I hadn't had a very aggressive stability shoe in a while, and I was like, oh, okay, and I got a little bit of aching from my peroneal muscles, but then it broke in really nicely after about half a mile. So it's very much in that moderate stability guidance level, maybe not as high as some of the other like older models of like really intense stuff, like it's not a Brooks Beast or something like that. It's probably just a step below something like the Brooks Adrenaline, where it's slightly softer and bouncier, but it's got a good amount of stability there for those who need it throughout the length of the shoe without being too overbearing in any one way. I will say for those who like a medial post, it doesn't have a significant medial post feeling. It's just got this nice full length, like keeps you centered throughout. So it's been really, really nice for getting miles on. My only issue is the upper. So upper is mostly good. It's actually fairly secure, which has been nice. It's a little bit wider. There's a little bit more material here. A decent amount of volume in the forefoot, and then the midfoot, the instep gets really low for some reason. So the laces in the thin tongue, which the tongue is gusseted, so it is secure on the foot. The tongue is just so thin that if you tighten down the laces, it's really easy to get what's called lace bite. And lace bite is where you kind of have the laces pulling too tight on the top of your extensor tendons on the top of your foot. Those tendons are very exposed. There's also sheaths there that keep them from stringing up, which is really important anatomically. But when you have a lot of pressure, though, it can irritate some people. So be careful with that. I've always had to lace these not too tight. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to heel slippage, but we just have to be a little careful that the instep has just been a little uncomfortable for me. But the forefoot is great. The power print, these external little lines here, do feel really weird at first. It's kind of like, oh, this is like kind of putting some weird pressure on my feet, but that lasts like a mile and it's gone. And then the fit is just something that disappears outside of the instep. So overall, halfway decent fit. It's a little bit wider throughout the length shoe without being too wide. The heel, like I said, is really secure and nice. I really like this because it's a little more padded. And even though there is plenty of structure in the rear foot, my Haglund deformity didn't get irritated. So those people with sensitive heels, you should be fairly okay in this shoe. It's just people with sensitive tops of their feet, you're going to need to be really careful with this shoe. So fit still needs to be just a teeny more dialed down. I think this upper could be lighter. Like this shoe is a little heavier than I think it needs to be. The first version had so much potential. This one got heavier, but it is way more comfortable. So I'd love to see maybe this upper dialed in a little bit in version 3. But overall, I'm really happy with this. Enough that I got 100 miles. Durability is great. The stability is great. The upper is a little bit wider. Maybe needs a little bit of finessing to get it right. But overall, really great shoe and still one of my top stability shoes already of 2025. So really enjoying this so far. And I'm really curious to know, what does everybody else think about this shoe? I know this shoe has really divided opinions out there. So I want to know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying? Is there something that you're liking better than this shoe? I've got a couple different options. I'm going to do a best of stability thus far in 25 very shortly. But last but not least, hope this stuff is helping you figure out what works best for you and hope this helps you stay relatively injury-free.